Hello everyone, and welcome to our fourth edition of Seafarers Point of View interviews, organized by Safebridge. My name is Aglia. I'm marketing manager at Safebridge. Together with me today, I have my colleague Alex. Hi, Alex.
Hello, everyone.
Introduce yourself as well a bit.
Hi, guys. I'm the marketing executive at Safebridge, the same company as well. And together with our company, we host these interviews to help give a voice to seafarers and actually give everybody a chance to hear firsthand what it really is like to have this kind of a profession, especially during the difficult times seafarers are going through in 2020. And will allow you to introduce our guest.
So our special guest today, we're very excited to have you, Bernard, with us. It's been a bit challenging actually to get you on board finally, because we know that you were working, you had some issues with your job as well, but finally we're happy to have you online. So the stage is yours. Could you please introduce yourself, a few words?
Right. Hi, Miss Egla and Sir Alex, right? I got your name.
Correct.
I am Yrhen Bernard. Right. I am Yrhen Bernard. I am from the Philippines and currently serving as an ordinary seaman on board MV Gwen. It's a general cargo heavy lift vessel. We are currently here in France. Basically, I am the one of the RASP warriors. We do the maintenance and keeping the ship seaworthy. Of course, alongside that, I also envision to become an officer one day. This is my third contract now. My first two contracts were cadets on board a Panamax bulk carrier. During those times, I learned also how to mess up, how to commit mistakes and learn from them. And because of them, right now, there's still, of course, errors are still present, but minimal. Especially in this profession, mistakes should be avoided as much as possible. Except for my profession, I'm also a writer. I have had my articles published by the Royal Institute of Navigation and the Nautical Institute on their seaways and the navigation news. So basically, I'm a seafarer by profession and a writer by heart. So that's all for me.
I noticed on your LinkedIn profile, you actually mentioned in your bio, you say that you're an ordinary seaman, but with extraordinary goals, right?
Yes. Because, well, there is this connotation that ordinary seaman is just ordinary by the term.
Yep.
But we can be more than that if we choose to strive harder. So I think that phrase just captures who I am, ordinary seaman with extraordinary goals.
Sure, it's a nice expression. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great introduction. Really inspiring, I would say. All right.
Yes.
So I guess everyone is curious to hear more about your first experience on board, as you have just started your career, I guess, at sea. So how do you find it? Is it exactly how you expected it to be?
What does anyone expect on their first contract, right? I, for one, expected to be great. But boy, was I wrong. I had this faulty connotation that theoretical knowledge will be sufficient. But I guess practical know-hows, along with a little common sense, will get you a long way. But if there's one thing, I was, and I still am, blessed to be on board with crewmates who are supportive and fosters a culture of mentoring and support. Actually, when I told them that I will be having this interview with Safebridge and Ma'am Jillian last night, they were just as ecstatic as I am. My captain and my officers and all the other crew, they even sponsored my haircut. So there. It's because of them that my contracts on board before when I was a cadet and now has been a series of roller coasters of sense of fulfillment, of doubt, of committing mistakes and learning from them. One can really never underestimate the value of mentoring, just as how the Nautical Institute is bannering it on their social media platforms, especially in the eyes of a newcomer. Being one of the cadets who have been taught by my officers on my first contract and right now, I can ascertain that this is giving us a sense of responsibility, that we are more than just the lowest rank on board, that we can be more, that we have potential. We just have to turn that potential energy into kinetic energy, into action, just by simply letting the cadets do the demonstrations in drills, the updates in the ENCs, and with the maintenance of the firefighting equipment and life-saving appliances. Those are really confidence boosters for us. Share your experiential knowledge. Look after them during moorings. They will look up to you, certainly. And you will have a trusty friend who knows you will still be seeing each other on the succeeding contracts. We have this because I realized the way that an officer will become in the future is largely reflective of how they were treated on their previous and their formative years as cadet, as ordinary seaman. So the way that they were upbrought, the way that the officers treated them, they will carry it out also when they have become officers. We have this popular adage that says, it takes a village to raise a child. But I say, it takes a vessel to raise an officer. It takes a vessel to raise an officer. That would be all.
Another good
Thank you.
expression.
I have two already.
He's a writer. Remember, he's an author, so he has these phrases in his head already.
Are there a lot of other cadets who are just starting out their career working with you on the same vessel, or?
Here in my vessel right now, we are two ordinary seamen. No cadets, but we are of the same company. They are grooming us to be officers also, hopefully by next contract.
Okay. And your aspiration is to go as high up as a master, a chief officer? Do you have some kind of a goal? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
as Maslow's hierarchy of needs have it, self-actualization is defined. Personally, it may not be as a master mariner, but I envision to revolutionize the maritime industry. One speaking engagement, one article at a time. And thank you so much for Safebridge for letting me realize it little by little.
Thank you for joining us. And can I ask you, like you said, it's one thing to learn the theoretical part of being a seafarer, and to have to actually. So from the moment you've decided I would like to become a seafarer, and the point when you actually go on board and you go on your first contract, which is could be several months away from home, right?
Yes.
Is it how you expected it to be? Is it are you enjoying it? Is this did it meet your expectations overall?
Yes, actually, I was expecting to fall to commit mistakes, and I was not wrong on that one. But so far, I am liking it here, being a seafarer. There is this tired moments, restless moments, but after that, you will realize, I was able to surpass it, to overcome it. And that is a sense of fulfillment in itself, which you will long to find more. So there, it's just how I expected it to be.
That's good to hear. Typically a vessel is consists of crew of varying nationalities from different parts of the world. How has this been for you? You know, how are you? How did your fellow team members take you on? Did you make new friends? Good colleagues along the way.
Yes, of course. One thing that I learned about this profession is that sooner or later, the maritime industry is small. The officers, the captains, the crew of whom you have embarked on, you will sooner or later meet them again. It's good to have a positive, lasting impression with them. That's what we are striving because a ship is a small community. It's not worth it to have a friction on board, to be angry with someone. It will just make you uncomfortable. Imagine staying on board for 9 months with somebody who is angry at you or of whom you are angry with. It will make your living experience a little bit more difficult.
Sure. And clearly, there's a lot of dependency between the seafarers and ultimately the safety of the vessel, right? I mean, you're all dependent on one another and the duties that you have on board. Yeah. Egle, I think we have another question that we wanted to ask.
I think we can touch the actual articles, the ones you published. Thank you for sharing, by the way. So in one of them, published by Seaways in October, it was published. You stress that cadets might find it difficult in the early days of their career, and now especially this uncertainty. What did you actually have in mind in that article when you were writing it? Because you wrote it during the pandemic. It was already a pandemic.
Yes. So yes, let me just add to that first. That article has also been published by the Royal Institute of Navigation on September-October issue of Navigation News. Modesty aside, I'm kind of proud of the things I have been achieving during this pandemic.
Of course, this is something to be proud of.
Thank you. So as a deck cadet, I can ascertain that these cadets have a pent-up energy, curiosity buried deep within them that is waiting to explode, to find a way that it may be shared. And once that energy did not find a way out, it may cause a gradual decrease in passion. There is this pent-up energy very deep inside the cadets. Actually, as I researched, I have read an article in Safebridge stating that there is growing concern that the maritime industry may lose skilled workers to land-based facilities. Because it is noteworthy to say that seafarers are well-rounded people. It is crucial that we become our own firefighters, our own doctors, because it's it's a floating platform. We can only depend on each other, as what Sir Alex said. It is also essential that we become our own garbage collectors, painters, barbers, all at the same time being the ambassador of our country, navigating worldwide. Seafarers are teeming with trade and scientific knowledge that can be laterally applied ashore. These cadets who are in their early stages or just waiting for their first taste at sea life may find it enticing as well if their interest has not been spurred, if they are not able to find a way to venture onto the seafaring industry. They may find a way for their interest to be spurred. So there. Another factor that I consider there is seafarers as a common denominator chose this profession because of the huge sum of money that we are earning. And with this pandemic, financials is of great concern. Perhaps one of the reasons that these cadets have chosen this field is to be able to provide a living for their families. And when they are not able to provide it, they may find other ways to find an alternate source of income. That being said, land-based is also an option. Which comes to my mind, when they venture land-based, their theoretical knowledge may be diminished, which when they ultimately come on board as cadets, as first contracts, the theoretical knowledge part will be gone. We all know that theoretical knowledge that has not been put into practice will soon eventually fade into memory. So it is still vital that mentoring on board stays, because not everyone have the retention of learning.
I guess what you're referring to is something like continuous development, right? It's continuously refreshing your skills, continuously refreshing your knowledge, and putting it into practice, basically, right? Can I ask you, like as a cadet, right? So somebody who just came out of studies, right? So you've got your theoretical knowledge. Would you say it's difficult to get your first job, to get that practical experience? Did you face any challenges, getting that first voyage, let's say, out of the university?
Well, as for me, I did not find it hard because I am one of the scholars of Marlowe Navigation. But in a larger sense, especially in the Philippines, where seafaring is also large numbers, there are still cadets who are unemployed. That's before pandemic. How about now, post-pandemic? So it is actually useful that the maritime institution, along with the manning agencies or companies, be able to develop a cadet program of wherein the students of the academy can proceed directly as a scholar of the company, to be employed.
Okay, understood. And is there something that, some kind of advice that you could give to other cadets who are still looking for their job, or cadets of the future cadets, let's say, that will come? Is there any kind of recommendation you can give to them on how to approach this and how to succeed, let's say, and reach the position where you are at now?
Wow, thank you so much. That is flattering. Well, first, this pandemic has given us a huge time. Utilize that time to strengthen your craft, to further your trade. For instance, there is a bounty of webinars available in the web, like this that Safebridge is doing. Make use of them. There is something, I believe, that you can learn outside of what we have learned in the training in the schools. Also, for instance, if you are from that department, you can also learn the shipping side of the shipping. It will serve you well when you become a captain one day, talking with charterers and the owners. Secondly, is to connect with networks, expand your network. For LinkedIn has been a wonderful platform. It's where I met Ma'am Egle and Safebridge. During this time, the professionals have more time on their screen. Connect with the possible employers of whom you are targeting. And with that said, join professional organizations. For instance, the Nautical Institute, Royal Institute of Navigation, IMARES, AMEA, IAMS. They are supportive of us, cadets, on our early stages. There are a bounty of resources in them that we can take advantage of. There are other, actually, tips which I wrote on the articles. But if there's one thing that I forgot to add, but this just stays between us, is that to broadcast your advantage. I believe that people know something. It's just that they are not confident or generous enough or assertive enough to share it with others. Stand up, be assertive, and speak your mind, you will really stand above the crowd and broadcast your advantage. So those are the tips generally that I remember.
Great
Thank you for
tip.
sharing.
I'm sure that someone who will be watching our interview, they can actually write down everything you just said, because like these are very great tips and very good tips. You also mentioned the pandemic as well, that you said that now people, they have more time, they can connect with each other, etc. How did the pandemic affect you? I mean, were you affected in any way?
That is a good question. Well, it is an undeniable fact that every one of us has been affected by this global health pandemic. I is of no exception. For one, my licensure examination for officer in charge of navigational watch has been postponed. I was targeting to have it this year, but it's okay. I believe there is a perfect time for everything. Just how this interview has been delayed several times, only to have it a day after Christmas, which is really providential, I believe. Some will say 2020 has been a very rough year, and I will agree, yes. But I choose to look at the positive side. It is during this pandemic that my career skyrocketed. I was elected as student members of various various international organizations, like I mentioned, the Nautical Institute and RIN. I am also appointed as deputy director of a youth organization advocating for sustainable development goals. I have been recognized for my write-ups because of its international publication. And of course, we have this interview right now and my interview yesterday with Ma'am Jillian. So really,
Yeah.
all good things come to those who wait.
Where do you find the time to do all these things?
I actually don't know. I don't
But it's
That's
one thing I know. One thing I noticed, and I through our interviews, and I really admire it, is um, like this question was about the pandemic and the fact that the year has been difficult for everybody, especially the seafarers. But it's very nice to see people such as yourself who manage to maintain this positive attitude, and just stay confident that everything will be fine. It will be back to normal. So I think that it's good to spread this, because a lot of seafarers are going through difficult times, and it's good for them to see that there is a way to be positive about it. There is a way to get through it, And thank you for projecting this.
Thank you.
Are you actually developing these skills yourself? I mean, how to stay positive, how not to, like think about problems, how to find some solutions, I don't know, to the challenges. Or are you like, were you born like this? Or did it come from your family? Or you're actually, like spending some time, additional time, and you're actually developing this?
Well, I don't want to brag. I don't want to say that I'm an autodidact and learned it by myself. Perhaps it's a product of the environment that I grew up with and with the people of whom I associate with. They say you are the aggregate of the 5 people of whom you associate with. So I choose my friends carefully so that I may be able to adapt those positive thinking, the good characteristics that they have, and imbibe it on my own, and discard the things that I don't really need and will not serve me well. So there, a lifelong learning process. I wanted to be a student of life, not just confined in the 4 corners of the classroom. Because another thing that seafaring has taught me is that the world is your classroom. It's during this time that I learned that seafaring will shake your very core, question your long-held beliefs, see out to your principles, and ultimately alter your concept of living. So
This is
yeah,
actually
the,
a perfect example of like what you're describing is known as openness to experience, which is, I think, one of the foundational aspects of being a seafarer. You know, being open to experience things. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Staying out of your comfort zone, like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Alex, go ahead.
Yeah. No. I just wanted to ask you. You know, in 2020, one of the heavily discussed topics was recognizing seafarers as key workers. I'm sure you know of this topic in the media and so on. What are your views on this? I mean, clearly 2020 is acting like the situation is probably going to be the biggest catalyst of getting there. You know, but what are your thoughts on this topic?
I was actually expecting that question, so I prepared a research for that. So I upload that huge step done by the. So at least these invisible heroes that are delivering these supplies around the world are gaining the recognition that they deserve. Here, I will not delve much to the technicalities, but the general idea is that the United Nations General Assembly in its 75th session emphasizes the urgency of governments promptly taking action to facilitate crew changes, including the expediting of travel requirements and repatriation effort, plus ensuring access to medical care. They also encourage governments and relevant stakeholders to implement the protocols to ensure safe crew changes and travel during this pandemic, as approved by the IMO Maritime Safety Committee, allowing stranded seafarers to be repatriated and its relievers to join ships. Reports say that there is roughly 400,000 seafarers stuck on board and stuck ashore. I am a first-hand witness of that. The OS of whom I relieved here, he stayed for 15 months, 1-5, and the other one is 16 months. Just imagine that. So yesterday when I and Ma'am Jillian talked, we discussed also that Santa, we have this image of Santa having a red and white jackets with a Santa hat with tingling jingle bells.
Yeah.
Today, that image is starting to turn into orange coveralls and sturdy helmets. No longer onboard slings and reindeers, but metallic ships. And we are no longer calling them Santa Claus. We are calling them seafarers. We are the one delivering Christmas right at your doorsteps. So there.
That's correct. That's correct, really. Like, you're very right in saying these things. Because you are delivering all the essentials. And imagine if everything stops, no one would have Christmas. I mean, yes, of course, Christmas is with your family, etc., but you have to have some food to put and share with your family. You want to exchange presents. And how do you get all these things? You're very right. I think it's something to really think about, like what you just said.
Thank you.
And it's quite unfortunate, you know, like firsthand, you know, myself, I've been working in the maritime industry for a while. But what I've realized is that, you know, unless you work in this industry, you don't really recognize or you understand that there's so many people sustaining it. You know, that there's seafarers who are working on the ships. You know, you kind of know it exists, but you never really think about it.
Okay.
So hopefully this year is going to, like I said, be a catalyst and actually help this come to light. You know.
Yeah, actually, also with all. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So far as of December 18, I read that there are already 46 IMO member states that designate that seafarers are key workers, which is really great, a great big step.
Yeah, and what I wanted just to say that we at Safebridge, we are working with the maritime industry and with the seafarers, with the companies, and this idea with the seafarer interviews came like very naturally just because of lack of awareness and everything started with a pandemic, because there was lack of awareness what's actually happening. Like we wanted to find out, and we wanted people to find out, and now we're actually shifting to and touching like more topics. We were actually thinking that this kind of concept can reach people who are also outside the maritime industry, so like people who are not familiar with seafaring, or they're not familiar with like what we were just talking about, that like you guys are delivering things to our houses. So we hope, and we will try our best, just to spread these news and spread these interviews, so people can actually get familiar finally that you are the guys
Thank you.
for helping
Thank you so
us,
much.
making things happen. And thank you very much, personally. Thank you, since you are now doing this.
Oh my God, I feel so shy, flattered that somehow it's really heartwarming, despite the cold season outside. It feels good.
So okay, so now we have Christmas and you're on board. How do you spend Christmas there? Like, do you like, there's so many nationalities, there's so different nationalities. I guess some people, they don't even celebrate Christmas. Some people celebrate. How do you find this balance? What's the how?
Actually, right. For us right now, we were not able to celebrate Christmas because we are on port. Hopefully, after our voyage, when we have a longer voyage, we will be having it. Our officers here and our captain is actually supportive of the crew. So that is making it easier for us to, despite the culture differences and the language barriers that there may be, it still feels home. It may not be the Pinoy household of Christmas, but it still somehow feels like home.
That's good.
Yes.
That's good. Okay.
Sorry, I was just checking my load balance.
will you be? So obviously Christmas is happening now, but there's also New Year's. Will you be on a voyage during New Year's, or will you be still in port in France?
Let me see. If our initial prospects will be continuing, I guess no. We will still be on a short voyage by then. So maybe just after. It's a post-celebration, perhaps.
Okay.
Are you allowed to leave a vessel now?
No, actually.
Are you allowed?
Unfortunately,
Short?
No, not yet. Only still inside a vessel.
Okay.
No shore-leave passes.
Just maybe if you have any last message or any last words that you would like to say to the seafarers and the people who will be watching this interview once we publish it.
Okay. So, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I know you may be tired, restless, exhausted. The days may be long, yes. The weather may be rough, the tasks tedious. But just hold on. The sun will soon shine, and by then it will be a magnificent sunrise. You will be happy that you hold on. So Merry Christmas to you, and see you around.